Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster. After getting Dr. Diabolical's cliffhanger in 2022, Six Flags Fiesta Texas opened another new roller coaster in 2023, another first of its kind in Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster. This racing single rail coaster is designed for kids and families, and is the only racing coaster in Texas, but in many ways, it fills a nice niche that the park desperately needed. But just how good is this coaster? Find out in this review. Single rail coasters have some random smaller ones throughout the world, but mainly rose to prominence with Rocky Mountain Construction's introduction of their single rail Raptor coasters with Wonder Woman Golden Lasso coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. RMC has gone on to build 4 more of these single rail coasters, all of which receive strong praise from the coaster community. Wonder Woman, as the prototype, has been prone to downtime and has been closed most of the last year as it has undergone an extensive refurbishment by Fiesta Texas. The other main manufacturer of single rail coasters has been Skyline Attractions. Their Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster received generally negative reviews and seemed to be a nightmare to keep up and operate before it closed after only about a year. Tidal Twister at SeaWorld San Diego did manage to last a few years, though it was often closed before eventually being scrapped, which is kind of sad as this model seems like a perfect fit for a SeaWorld park as a family thrill coaster. In 2023, Six Flags ordered 2 kiddie coasters from Skyline Attractions, the first to go to Fiesta Texas, and an identical clone to go to Six Flags over Georgia. These promised mild thrills, a fun racing element, and hope to add a solid family coaster to the 2 parks that have limited options for younger kids and less thrill-seeking families. Fiesta Texas took out their old Bumber cars, which did open with the park, though this is unfortunate as it was one of the few low-thrill family rides in the park and did fit a nice niche as well. It may be too much to ask, but it would have been awesome if they would have been able to build this coaster going around and through the Bumber cars building. This coaster does fit well at Fiesta Texas. Before its completion, only 3 coasters had a height requirement of 42 inches. Streamliner, soon to be Batgirl Coaster Chase, the True Kiddie Coaster, Roadrunner Express, the Mine Train Coaster for Fiesta Texas, and Pandemonium, though that is with an adult. Compare that to 7 different coasters that kids 42 inches can ride at Six Flags over Texas. With limited flat ride options beyond true kiddie rides, Fiesta Texas feels limited for younger guests, or those simply not interested in high-thrill flat rides and coasters. Obviously, a park has to focus somewhere, and Fiesta Texas has focused on higher-thrill rides to much success, but some balance was needed to accommodate those with less thrill preferences. Kid Flash seeks to do this by allowing guests an opportunity to experience the Flash's cosmic treadmill to travel through space and time, though the speed of this coaster doesn't necessarily match its name. The theming is decent, though with a compact queue line, some story posters, and a nice statue up front. A quick video explaining all of this before heading into the queue, I'm thinking like the video on Wavebreaker would actually be a really nice touch, but Six Flags just doesn't have that type of theming on any of their DC coasters. Sadly, there is no shortcut through the line, and even with an empty queue, they will make you walk all the way through the queue line. Though it is compact enough that it isn't terrible, this just seems annoying, especially for families. The queue line is slightly covered, but is open to the sun at points, which seems unfortunate as slightly more theming could help in reducing the sun's reach. You can get decent views of the coaster in the final bits of the queue line though. And at night, the coaster looks amazing with the lights, though I haven't seen it going during dark yet. During the day, you can clearly see the base of this coaster, which isn't really that pretty, and some type of cover-up of the steel bars would help a bit with the theming, as it kind of reminds me of Silver Bullet at Frontier City, with how the coaster just sits on top of its area, making it feel almost temporary. At the Flash Pass point, you will be split off into two sides, the yellow AC side to the right or the red DC side to the left. Both offer slightly different experiences, with the DC side seeming to be a bit wilder with the drops. The attendant normally encouraged guests to go to one side or the other, but seemed okay with me picking my own way when I wanted to. If the line is longer, you may not get to pick your side unless you ask nicely. The coasters operate two trains that race each other with 6 cars on each train for a total capacity of 24. Dispatches seem to be quick, as the tight restraints are easy to check, but with any kiddie coaster, having people put up loose articles takes time. Why better lockers weren't installed as with newer Six Flags coasters does seem like a mystery, as these could easily improve dispatch speeds. The cars are small and tight for adults, presumably to discourage adults from riding, especially alone, but adults are allowed to ride free of restrictions. The restraints, though, seem to be at the heart of this coaster's reliability. Having cars broken and roped off isn't new for a coaster, as Iron Rattler, or in the past Wonder Woman, have run with many rows blocked off as to keep multiple trains running instead of taking a train completely out of operation. On my visit, all trains were fine at the opening of the day Monday, but by Tuesday afternoon, 3 rows had been blocked off between the 2 trains, one of which happened during one of my rides, where I was stuck on the coaster for about 15 minutes until they finally released us from the station without getting to ride the coaster. As simple, easy to check restraints, the problem seems to be that both riders have to push down and then pull up in order to release the restraint. This is complicated for a seasoned coaster rider, but is going to prove very difficult moving forwards for kids and families who don't have as much experience riding coasters. Many riders got stuck and needed help to release their restraints at the end of each cycle. Furthermore, as a single rider, the attendants normally let in enough people to try and completely fill a train, meaning I was normally paired up with another person. Although this is efficient, this practice seems problematic, as I could see parents not wanting their kids paired up with strangers. As for overall reliability, Fiesta Texas seems to be focusing on having this coaster open during busier times, at least in its first 6 months of operation. Visiting during a weekday in December, it was closed. And although it was open during weekends over spring break, it was closed both days during the week that I visited over spring break. They even had an attendant outside the ride telling people it was closed for the day. Over the summer, it was open both weekdays I visited, but does always have the possibility of being closed, either to actually fix the restraints or because of other maintenance issues that crop up. Will the coaster always race? This seems inherent in its design. I did see one side go without the other after a breakdown, likely to give those riders already locked in a lap instead of evacuating them. When the other train broke down for me, I was evacuated from the station instead of being allowed to go, even though my train cleared all the checks. There seems to be a very strong preference for this coaster to operate with both sides going to avoid maintenance issues, so I suspect that the coaster will be racing most of the time. On my visit, it was a slower weekday when most rides were a walk-on. I even got 5 rides in a row on Iron Rattler, but Kid Flash still had almost every train going out full, and even had a 1 or 2 train wait at some points. So demand should always be high enough to keep this coaster running both trains. After leaving the station, there are 2 distinct paths. The AC or yellow side starts with a mild drop, followed by a quick turn and essentially the rest of the drop. This makes both drops not too bad, while offering a small lateral kink in the middle. Then you go around a large swooping turn. Most of the turns on this coaster are taken too slowly to offer solid forces, but they do their job as fun kiddie elements. The second drop under the red tracks offers a small amount of drop feelings, especially towards the back, but it is relatively mild all things considered. Then you go through a low turn around that still offers light forces before an S-bend like bunny hill. Towards the back, this offers very little as you take it slowly, though in the front row I did get a small pop of airtime on this element. After a small turn, you have a final bunny hill that only delivers in the front, before a large turn back into the station that will allow the red train to pass you. Then, in true kiddie coaster fashion, you take a second lap so that you can get a good feel of all the crazy twists and turns that you just went through. EC, or red side, starts with a large drop that gives a nice but mild punch. This is followed by a turn up that then leads into another decent sized drop, which gives this side a nice 1-2 punch. Then you have a low to the ground turn that does little, followed by 2 turning hills that you will crest so slowly that you will get little forces out of it. After snaking through 2 turns that make an S, you have a double down finale that gives everyone a solid pop of airtime for what it is, before a short turn that leads into the station. As this track will be behind the yellow train most of the course, the visuals of chasing the other train are nice, especially when you pass them in the end. With a few drops, you will want to try to sit towards the back of this side. Since seating is first come first serve and people tend to front load, this should be easy enough to sit towards the back. As for overall smoothness, this coaster did have a small vibration throughout. At the start of the day, this just adds a bit of character without causing too much of a problem. After riding many dizzying rides, it could slightly aggravate a headache, though much less so than Streamliner's roughness has done for me in the past. This vibration seems to just be a part of the character of this coaster, and should help its milder elements, such as its turns, be more enjoyable. Overall, how good is Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster? Many enthusiasts will count this as 2 credits, since it has 2 completely separate tracks. As for me, I'm comfortable just counting it as one whole coaster, though I'm leaving open the possibility to change my mind later on. The DC side is the better side with its drops and mild airtime, though both play well at being mild family coasters that everyone can enjoy. It doesn't have some of the wild tossed about feelings of other kiddie coasters like Sea Serpent at Fun Spot Orlando, or even milder manufacturing coasters like Cyclone at P6 Farms. But it does offer a bit more of a complete package, especially with the ability to ride not just on the 2 different tracks, but in different seating positions that offer slightly different forces. I rank this right above Cobra's Curse at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, which has nice theming and a few okay elements, but really doesn't hit for me as a family coaster. I place Kid Flash right below Sky Coaster at Dreamworld, which executes many of its elements well, but its helixes are just rather basic, and it just doesn't do more as a coaster. Have you been able to get on Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster? Does this ride fit well at Six Flags Fiesta Texas? Let me know. And, as always, Kapkun Krap.